Okay. Do you think it's moral to use sentient beings without their consent?
Yes, in terms of animals that we breed to eat.
So what's the difference between using humans and animals?
Well, humans is the same species as me and you, and we have laws against
Nope.
it.
Wow.
Well, thank you for informing me on that.
Yeah,
Yes, we
that's
are the
why.
same species as human, but
Yeah.
what morally separates us from animals?
Well, morally separate. Because we have a higher level of thinking than animals do.
So that gives
And
me,
Well,
if
that
I'm
makes it.
smarter than someone, that gives me the right to do whatever I want to
no,
them.
no, no. That goes back to what I said. Like we're the same species, so you can't do it to humans. So
But you can't tell me what's the difference between humans and animals. What's the moral difference?
because the average person, okay, I'll say this: the average person has a higher critical thinking than the average animal.
How do
But
you
why
know?
do I? Yeah, that too.
How do
How do
I
you
know
know?
that?
Yeah, how do you know that?
The average person can pick up a stick and hit it on the ground. A chicken can't do that.
Well, no
Chickens
kidding.
actually do use tools sometimes, but that doesn't matter. The point is that there are humans that are not as intelligent as the average, and we still make carve outs for them. We find it immoral to exploit them, even though they don't contribute to society, they can't reciprocate morality. We still protect them when we don't. We find it immoral to exploit them, correct?
Yeah,
So
because
then
as I
what
said,
makes
they're the same
animals so
species.
different? What makes animals so different from the people that we've made carve outs for?
One, those people that we made those carve outs for is the same species as us. Two,
You can't. Okay,
uh,
you're stuck on species. What is species? Do you even know?
like we're all Homo sapiens.
Yeah, but that just means that we can only mate within this group. So is that how you just decide who you're going to treat with respect? Is who you can mate with?
Not who you can mate
Like
with, because
literally, the word human is just a label we've given ourselves based off of who we can mate with. Once someone is outside your species, you can't mate with them anymore. You can't make babies.
yes, I'm aware.
Okay, so there are some humans that you can't mate with. Are you going to exploit them?
I wasn't the one who brought up anything about mating. You talked about
Okay,
mating.
my point is that you are choosing arbitrary traits that still can be applied to humans. You're saying animals are not as intelligent. They're averagely not intelligent. You just keep going honestly on about intelligence. And I'm telling you, we have humans that fit that don't have
Yes,
intelligence,
I
that are
know.
still experiencing the world. So I'm telling you that animals and those carve outs for humans, those are the same. There's no
That's
moral
why I
difference.
preface by saying the average human compared to the average animal, because I knew
You're
you
not
wouldn't be doing
listening.
these carve
You're
outs.
not listening. You're not listening. There is no moral difference between the humans we make carve outs for and the animals that we use. They're both sentient. They both have the capacity to feel joy and suffering. It is immoral to force our purpose on them just because we can dominate them.
Let me ask you a question. So I'm assuming you don't think there's any situation, like for anybody around the world, where they shouldn't kill an animal.
I think that if you're in survival mode, there's a lot of things you can justify. I could justify eating a human baby in survival mode.
Not, I'm not saying survival mode. I'm talking about like people that is in their day to
Survival
day.
mode. People that
Not
are in survival mode. If
if
someone
you
has access to food and they have options, they should absolutely live vegan and not demand someone's exploitation. If you're in survival mode, you can justify just about anything almost.
you don't gotta be in survival mode though. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so if you're not in survival mode, then it is immoral for you to use animals. Yes.
It's immoral, really. But I want you to think real hard because there's a lot of people in situations where it's not quote unquote survival mode,
So
but
let
they
me get
don't
this
have
straight.
access.
We just went through the whole thing of saying that I'm talking about survival mode and you can justify almost anything in survival mode. You say I'm not talking about survival mode. And then but what about the people that are surviving? I just covered this.
You brought up survival mode, not me.
You are now bringing up survival mode right now. Right now. You're saying people that have to survive using animals, are you not? That's survival mode,
I
genius.
asked you if everybody in the world, do you think there's no case where somebody kills an animal in their day to day, not when they're life or death.
I think it's immoral if it's not life and death.
Really, no matter what.
If you don't need to use them, it's immoral. Yes, just like slavery. It's immoral to use slaves.
I didn't bring up slaves or anything. We're talking about animals
I
right now.
did. Because you know why? They're a sentient being experiencing the world. They have their own purpose, and it's immoral for you to put your purpose on them.
I didn't bring up slaves to begin with.
You have a great day. I
As an
don't.
example.
Yeah, if you want to talk to him, I'm done talking to him. You're welcome
Yeah,
to take
like
over.
you're bringing up slaves and survival mode. I'm not talking about any of these points. The reason I brought that up is because there is people out in the world that you could say could access vegan options, but they're not in a good situation to access vegan options. I
Why?
myself am one, but I'm not going to give an anecdotal. You also have people like Inuits who are in areas where they can't grow.
Okay, I'm going to kick you because you don't understand what
Oh, look,
survival
right
mode
when I'm
is,
saying all,
apparently. You don't understand. I literally went over this already. I'm sorry, Lori. I shouldn't have cut you off.
Yeah, no, and I like how he brings up Inuits. He's talking about indigenous people, and indigenous people eat grains and all kinds of stuff too.
Well, the point is, he kept going back to survival mode, and he's like, that's not survival mode. And I'm like, that's survival mode.
Yeah, exactly. That's
If someone was living in the Inuit community and they go, oh my God, I realize animals are sentient. I genuinely don't want to use them or harm them when I don't need to. They would then look for every aspect of their life that they can change to best fit that.
Right. Exactly.
That's the whole point. Just because someone has to break their principles to survive doesn't make them not vegan. If they genuinely had this in their heart, they're like, I don't want to use animals, but if I don't do this, I will perish.
Right.
That's one thing.
Right. Right. But there are many options, and we're not in that position anymore.
Exactly. Most of us have options. And if you have those options, you have a moral obligation to not subject someone through exploitation and oppression just for your taste pleasure and entertainment.
Yeah.
It's just
Exactly.
But he just I don't think he understands when he's talking about the groups that are surviving. Yes, they may not be in the moment of on the brink of starvation, but they are using animals because that's the only resource they have. I understand. I get what he's saying. They're not brink starvation right now, but a lot of them are not vegan either. A lot of them don't think about the animals. They think of them in maybe a sacrificial way. They're like, oh, this animal has sacrificed its life for me. But someone who's vegan obviously recognizes that doesn't mean anything to the animal. So